SnowTrax is sponsored by Polaris, Think Outside, Ski-Doo Snowmobiles, Yamaha, revs your heart, and by iPone Lubricants, exclusively distributed by Parts Canada.
On a recent trip to Grizzly Lodge, I was able to meet up with Brett Turcotte and discuss the new products he just received from MBRP. All right, so what are you putting on this sled?
Just rolled here into Grizzly Lodge last night, and they had an MBRP trail muffler for my brand new Boost. So cool. Pretty excited to get out on the snow. I got a couple rides on it now, and it's out of break-in mode, so now it's time to start adding some parts to it. And
awesome.
Yeah, it should be fun.
So you're putting the trail cam on the turbo. You've got the race cam on your 9R.
Yeah, I got the MBRP Quiet Series on my 9R.
Oh, you got the Quiet Series on there as well.
So it's like, yeah, it's pretty shiny and pretty nice. But
why'd you go trail over race on the 9R?
Just because that's like my majority sort of like sled, so I'm on that one a ton, and you know, I wanted to like save a little bit of weight, but I also wanted to, you know, have a nice sound that's just clean and crisp and not be, you know, crazy obnoxious. I don't want people knowing exactly where I am following my tracks. So yeah, just a little sneak and peek action with that, and kind of keeps it a little stealthy, and you know, most importantly for me, just shedding a little bit of weight.
Yeah, save some weight, nothing obnoxious.
Sweet.
Yeah, so you finished it up, you got your pipe on.
Yeah,
and
it was
we're gonna go and ride.
Yeah, pretty quick and easy install. It was my first Boost install of any sort of aftermarket can. It was good. Cool. Yeah, kind of got the whole thing done in like less than a half an hour. So, you know, I was stoked on the fit and finish, everything with like, you know, the turbo fitment and then this other flange. It all just lined up. I wasn't wrestling it at all. I'm honestly just really stoked to get that thing nice and hot and give it some color. As we go over to the 9R, it's got, you know, a little bit of time on it now. As you can see, it's starting to color up.
Getting gold.
Yeah, as I start to get on the pipe with these things, they turn really rad colors. So
nice.
It's you know, just a nice fit and finish. When you pop the side panel off and show it to your buddies, is like the reaction is pretty consistent. Like, oh, that thing looks rad.
Yeah.
You know, reminds me back in the day of like having like a true race pipe on a sled. So.
And they're 304 unfinished stainless, which means that you can repolish this thing. If it gets tarnished, if it gets dull, you just repolish it, which is awesome.
I wonder if you can polish cooking marks out of them. I like to cook on mine, you know.
You gotta get the muff pot on there?
Nice, no, I just give it a good press.
Nice.
Yeah, then I get a MBRP press panini.
MBR panini. All right.
Let's get these things out on the snow.
Let's go and you show us what you do.
All right. Man, this can sounds so good. And that Boost one sounds a lot like a race sled now.
SnowTrax is sponsored by Hercules Tire. Ride in our strength.
Where some snowmobile manufacturers are known for making big changes to their sleds every so many years, but leaving them fairly untouched in between, Ski-Doo is known for pretty much the exact opposite. Ski-Doo opts to make small and medium-sized changes on almost a yearly basis. The G5 platform is a perfect example of a medium-sized change. What's interesting about all this is that from a top-down perspective, both methods end up at the same place. It's just that Ski-Doo owners get new stuff every year. Yes, I said the G5 is a medium-sized change over the G4, and some might argue with that, but my definition of a big change is a new chassis, and the G5 isn't that. What it does have is all new bodywork and a bunch of other smaller changes everywhere you look that make it a next generation of a platform versus an all new one. The G5 I'm riding today is an MXZ Blizzard 850. It's got an RAS X front and a 129-inch R-Motion X out back. Now I want to say the Blizzard is a bit of a budget model, but that's really not true at all. The most entry-level MXZ is the Sport, and it is definitely focused on being budget-friendly. The Blizzard, on the other hand, has a whole bunch of high-end features that put it way above the entry level and only a hair below top of the line. KYB Pro 36 piggyback shocks up front and on the rear arm of the skid frame are compression adjustable and are serious parts, as is the 850 E-Tech under the hood. The more price-conscious bits are the standard HPG shock on the front arm and the basic LCD gauge cluster. However, these parts don't make it feel any less impressive at all, in my opinion. The Blizzard handles exactly the same as all other G5 Ski-Doos. It corners extremely flat, which has been a hallmark of Ski-Doo handling for over a decade. Some absolutely love how this feels as it removes the inside ski lift other sleds have that makes some riders nervous. However, there are also some who would argue, myself included, that it handles almost too flat and doesn't weight the outside ski enough, which results in understeer in tighter, higher speed corners. Fortunately, if you're one of those people, you're in luck. We've talked about this before, but changing the front arm lower mount inside the skid frame changes how the sled transfers its weight. In the stock position, you get very little weight transfer, which results in super flat skis on the ground handling. If you flip the mount around, you get a lot more weight transfer, which lets the skis lift a bit and, in my opinion, causes the outside ski to bite harder in the corners. This is how I prefer to have it set up, but luckily for all of us, Ski-Doo has given us that choice. Now, ride quality in either setting is flawless. The R-Motion X is still the best riding skid frame in the industry. Up front, RAS X is definitely an improvement over the standard RAS setup, and for typical trail riding situations it works great, but it can't be ignored that it does still get overworked when you try and run it hard through bumps. If there's one thing about the G5 I'd like to see changed on the next generation, this is it. With that said, the G5 is an improvement in comfort and ergonomics for sure. The seating position is more comfortable, and the wind protection is definitely improved. There is one thing that's a little baffling to me though. The Blizzard, as well as most other MXZ models, have yet another new version of the left-hand switchgear. There really wasn't anything wrong with the old switchgear, but this new version definitely is not right. You can't feel the buttons very well with your gloves on, and this is a big one, the hot grip and thumb warmer buttons are now linked to a single button and are adjusted together. That's strike one. This setup is never better than separate controls, but to make things even weirder, it's not a rocker switch, it's a button that only lowers the heat. When it gets to 0, it resets back to high. So let's just say you've got your hot grip set at a certain level and you want more heat. The only way you can do that is to cycle the button all the way down until the hot grips turn off. Then it'll reset back to high, and then you have to count how many steps down you want to go till you're one step above where you were before. Does that sound confusing? It's because it is. So what's my official verdict on the MXZ Blizzard 850? Even though I pointed out some negatives, my overall opinion of this sled is still very high. I like the rear end ride quality a lot. I like how the sled feels when you flip the lower front arm mount, and I obviously love the 850 E-Tech power plant. I mean, how could I not? I also love the impeccable finish quality and the improvements made to vibration in 2023. Overall, I think this is a great sled that, despite a few flaws, is a great choice for someone looking for Ski-Doo ride quality and handling, but who doesn't need all the extra hardcore bits that you get when you upgrade to an XRS.
SnowTrax is sponsored by Princess Auto. Make it work.
You probably have never looked at Yamaha's current product lineup the way I'm about to describe it and explain it to you, where they meet the needs of 5 different segments with 5 different snowmobiles. We're going to have a close-up look at how Yamaha keeps customers coming back. Yamaha offers an impressive lineup of snowmobiles, which when put under scrutiny, you can clearly see how any hardcore Yamaphile can stay connected to the Yamaha brand and, just as importantly, connected to their Yamaha dealer. This is no small deal. OEMs spend jillions attempting to keep customers coming back for another new sled. It's about building brand loyalty while keeping core customers faithful to their Yamaha dealer. So here's how we see the chronological progression of Yamaha's snowmobile product line. Let's start with first, the kid size SRX 120. Then let's move up to the SnowScoot 200. Then the Phenom 400. Then the SR Viper. And finally, the turbocharged and intercooled Sidewinder in multiple variants. Are you getting this progression of both size and power? It's interesting to note that the SRX 120 is one of only a handful of kids-sized snowmobiles. Its 120cc four-stroke provides ample jam for the kids and features an adjustable throttle governor parents will appreciate while Junior gets familiar with the SRX. This is for sure. Kids who ride the SRX 120 have the next thing on their mind, and that thing is the SnowScoot 200. The SnowScoot uses a smooth and quiet 200cc four-stroke for power and can credibly and legally be ridden on most jurisdictions' trails. The SnowScoot features standard electric start and handlebar heaters. It uses a torsion spring rear suspension and coilover shocks working with AA-arm IFS. So sticking with the succession theme, Yamaha has another perfectly positioned snowmobile for aspiring newbies and first-time riders. It's the Phenom 400, powered by a 400cc two-stroke counterbalanced EFI single-cylinder engine. The Phenom is a versatile snowmobile that actually is built on a full-size snowmobile chassis, and evidence of that is its 121-inch track. This is a snowmobile that can meet the needs of a variety of riders and riders' different levels of experience. The Phenom is an interesting snowmobile because it can accommodate smaller stature riders as well as full-size pilots. Performance from the counterbalanced EFI 400cc two-stroke single is impressive and will provide a 65 mph top speed on hardpack. The Phenom comes in a 2-up version, making it perfect for family trail rides with the kids. Purpose-built to appeal to a specific anatomical and demographic profile rider, the Phenom keeps Yamaha customers coming back for another Yamaha trail sled. The SR Viper carries the Yamaha flag in the highly competitive and popular 600cc two-stroke 120 horsepower class. This sled represents Yamaha's entry into one of the biggest segments in the marketplace using a 1049cc four-stroke triple. The SR Viper is a much-loved trail sled which fulfills the requirements of snowmobilers who rack up big miles and ride every weekend. The SR Viper's 1049cc triple-cylinder EFI four-stroke provides immediate thrust and seamless, smooth, and lag-free throttle response. The 1049 is a literal legend in the snowmobile biz, built on a reputation for bulletproof reliability. Get this straight, when I say bulletproof, I mean bulletproof. SR Vipers bring huge bucks at resale and trade-in time because they pretty much run forever. Finally, throw in a reputation for ridiculous fuel economy and you get the total picture. The SR Viper is a high-value snowmobile. Finally, the maximum Yamaha snowmobile experience can be realized with the Sidewinder Turbo. This snowmobile capably occupies fastest snowmobile on the lake space. It produces somewhere between 180 and 200 horsepower, making it the king of the hill. The Sidewinder is available in a variety of genres, including the SRX for all-out lake shredding top speed, the GT for Autobahn caliber touring, the XTX for X-Over pilots, and LTX variants. The constant in Sidewinder specifications is a formidable, reliable, and ridiculously powerful 998cc triple-cylinder turbocharged and intercooled engine capable of creating enough vacuum to suck the hood off your buddy's ride when you clean his clock on Kevlar Lake. In case you hadn't noticed throughout this segment, Yamaha is committed to keeping your business, and they're doing that by offering snowmobiles to fit just about any rider profile.
SnowTrax has been sponsored by Turcotte Snowmobiles, the regions of Quebec by the sea. Discover our ride ideas. FXR Racing, maximum versatility for all conditions. And by MBRP Performance Exhaust, built for the victory lap.
I've talked a lot about anticipation over the past 5 years, and there's been a lot of cool stuff come out, a lot of new stuff in the industry, things that have never been done before. But one snowmobile in particular has been the most anticipated, and it's what is next from Turcotte. What are they going to bring us next? What are the engineers that we know are so capable of producing world-class, high-performance snowmobiles? What are they working on? And we know now, it's the Catalyst. There's a lot of really important stuff going on under the hood of the Catalyst, but I think the most important thing you can see when you look right now is that hole right there. That is the end of the crankshaft, essentially goes through the clutch into the crankshaft. And when you look at how low that hole is compared to pretty much any other snowmobile in the industry right now, that is extremely low. And that is one of the main secrets to why this snowmobile works as good as it does. The crank on this sled is actually about 25 millimeters lower and 25 millimeters more rearward than a similar setup on the Procross chassis. They call this the lay-down engine design. It's not new. Turcotte's been doing it for years. It's a pretty interesting change in how you feel riding the snowmobile and how the snowmobile responds to your body inputs, throttle and braking inputs, steering inputs. It really does change everything. Before we go any further, I need to address the elephant in the room. It is true that the Catalyst is only available with a 600 for now, but this isn't the same 600 we've been using this season. The new 600 has the 800 crank in it, and then it results in an engine that has wicked bottom end, really strong mid-range, and just screams up top. So if you absolutely have to have a bigger motor, then you're just gonna have to wait. But if you can put up with a really excellent 600, I suggest you give it a try, because I know you won't be disappointed. Obviously, on the right-hand side of the Catalyst, the first thing everyone's going to notice is that it comes standard with a belt drive, and that's right across the whole lineup. This belt drive can survive the harshest racing conditions, and if you know it can survive the harshest cross-country racing conditions, you're never going to have trouble with it. Turcotte has put thousands and thousands of miles on belt drives with no failures. Out back here on the Catalyst, there's even more magic happening. So what you've got is a one-piece tunnel as it's bent here down to this point right there. The running boards themselves are the same across all Catalyst models, and they're super durable plastic material that can handle cold temperatures and not become brittle. But the composite material also comes up here into the toe holds. So you've got a lot of lightweight composite materials where we used to have heavier metal materials. The way that they make them fit on all the different models is this piece that rivets to the side of the tunnel and then bends downwards. That changes depending on which model that you're riding. And it simplifies the tunnel because the tunnel is now all one piece without having to produce a different tunnel for each type of sled. So this piece here that holds the skid frame, the rear bolt of the skid frame in, this is the same piece that runs down and holds the running boards. It's all one. And this piece changes depending on which skid you're using. The front end of this vehicle looks, I would say, similar to the Procross chassis, but it's actually not. There are some differences here. Now, geometrically and in terms of how it works, Turcotte focused on making it very similar in that respect, but how they got there was different. So what's different here is the spacing between this lower A-arm mount on the spindle and the actual ski bolt, that is increased, and the distance between this ball joint and this mount here has decreased. The other thing you can see when you look up front here is this spindle. Now this is, in the industry, this is the most sculpted, I'm going to use a word that I don't usually use, but that is a beautiful spindle right there. This is just such a cool looking setup. It's one of the first things you see when you look at the sled is the spindle and how awesome it looks. What you feel though is how great the sled handles, and it really does handle amazing. It sets the outside ski, locks it in, the steering is predictable, it's precise, it's light. It just works really well, and I'm very interested to put this on the snow and put a lot more miles on it to just see in my own area and on my own trails what it feels like. If there was one thing that we at SnowTrax griped about the Procross chassis over and over and over for years, it was the riding position and ergonomic package. I'm pleased to say that the Catalyst has an ergonomic package that's as modern, if not more so, than any other sled out there right now. The seat is firm, but it's still comfortable, nice and wide. It's got a nice cutout in the front, kind of like the old RXC from last season. I did that test ride, it had that weird cutout in the front. This is nowhere near that dramatic, but it does have a bit of a cutout here, so when you hang off the side, your leg just locks right in. Handlebar positioning is impeccable in terms of where you want it to be. When I sit, if I close my eyes and reach out, the grips are right where I think they should be. This windshield, while low, actually is pretty functional, but there are multiple windshield options available right away. This is low, there's medium, and there's a high, and they all look good. They're all very functional. We've got standard gauges. So this is the standard dual screen gauge that we've come to know and love. And finally, no more magnetic bag to hold your goggles or your stuff down here. There's an actual cubby hole storage container with a proper plastic lid. Overall, this is a fantastic ergonomic package. I really, really like it. At the end of the day, I would say this is an all-new snowmobile. And I know Turcotte is saying that there's some things that are carryovers. I can't really see any of them, and I don't really feel any of them. This is exactly what they needed to do. Produce something that looks edgy, that's got legitimate technology, that's got legitimate design features that are making the riding experience better, and a sled that just works. I really think that if Turcotte needed to do something and get it right, they absolutely did it.